Okay, let's do this. All right. Today we're going to be talking about how to grow professionally, and one of the
About
things that we're going to be
about show your
doing,
body about show your body a little bit. Oh, I can see your body now.
we're going to be writing a real life application. And what we're going to be doing today is going to be,
About
um,
nobody has a link. We don't have a link. Nobody
yeah,
has a link here.
ooh, somebody's going to have the link, and
Oh, Barrow,
we need
send it
people.
about. If you're gonna send the link to anybody, send the link to your profile. Because that way, every time you change a link, the link to your profile doesn't change. Does that make sense? Actually, I think
I want to
about
share the live stream for my
no
link on my
about you know
brands.
listen to what I'm saying. I'll send you a link. This is the link to your profile. If we have access to that, everybody knows when you're live. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You should probably customize the URL to a pretty link. About do you want to customize your profile so he has your name on it or something?
Yeah, we are currently alive, isn't it? So let me see if there's some people are gonna come in, and yeah, we are currently alive. Let me see what I'm going to do. Let me try to. This is unpredicted. Let's see what is going to happen. Come on.
What are you looking for?
I was just trying to share this link to my WhatsApp status. If I can put it on my WhatsApp status,
Oh yeah.
somebody I come over and say, "Hey, what's going on with Obi?" And you can get to let some people learn how to code. WhatsApp status post this bloody link. Yeah, so currently, yeah, so there is even delay in the YouTube channel. There's delay.
Of course, there's a 1 second or 2 second delay.
Uh, So we're hanging around now with Tommy, waiting for people to join us spontaneously. Hello, Tommy.
Yeah, Barrow. So I was gonna say, did you say you put it on WhatsApp?
I put it on WhatsApp, and I want to see people who are late night not sleepers, people who don't sleep.
How did you do the title? What was your
And the
phrase?
same way you told me.
What is it?
The title is the same title.
Yeah, but did you say live now? So they know it's a live link, not a recorded video. So they know it's now, basically.
Yes, on
You
Hangout.
probably want to use live now at the beginning of the phrase.
Hello, hello
And
guys.
the live
So
now has been
yes,
capitalized or
yes,
something.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, there are two people watching you apparently.
Yes, yes. I'm expecting more people to come in. Then we can start this late night programming or program night programming. So let me get a lot of
About,
people.
I think you
Go
should
to
probably
my
start
desktop.
now because you have four people on the call.
I'm still waiting for more people to come in. Those people who really want to, see
If you don't
how
start,
professional code, how you earn money and sitting at home earning money and becoming nerd. This is what we do. Tell me. Okay, so let's see. Most people will see this. If you're a beginner and you see my screen now as a command prompt, don't be scared. This is just a way to get things done quicker. Tata. So, I mean, while I'm waiting for people, I'm just going to.
about you should probably read your comments in parallel too, because people might be making comments.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for actually getting me started with this. So I'm going to be hi, 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 Fijiro. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yes, yes. We need more people, people who don't sleep, so we can start, you know, developing
About
things.
about about you don't need to reply using the comment. You can just use your voice. I mean, they can't speak, but you can.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes. Uh, 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 uh. So yeah, instead of we just sitting here, doing nothing, we can just keep talking about things. So normally, if you go to website, I'm just going to play around with the web application for you, so we can get this done. Okay. So if you go to a web application, if you open Google right now, you might notice that Google is a web application. So it's a web application because it's not a static page because it's dynamic and you can do things that you can do in mobile applications like search and he pull information from a particular database. So today we're going to talk about all these things and see these technologies. They are not really magic. They're just a basic way of doing things.
Oh, about could you try Control Windows the arrow key to the right?
This key. Sorry, I'm talking to a friend called Tommy. He's a software engineer. So yes. So I'm on call with Tommy. Tommy, what do you say? You want me
I
to
said,
actually
what I said was, could you press Control Windows key and the right arrow key?
control Windows key? What would I do with that?
Then right arrow key.
Okay, you're trying to say this sucks.
Sorry?
Control window key, right arrow key.
Well, it's not working.
It's not working. So
Mm.
you're trying to go this. Oh, this is gonna be scary. Let me
What
see
was that?
how many people we still have here. The less people. I mean, yes. Let's see. Anyway, I'm going to do some things today. Hmm. So for most of let me just be doing something. So I actually code for fun, and I like coding. It's like a computer game, where you play games and you get paid for it. That is exactly the same thing I do. So I solve problems, and sometimes I just share those problems on my GitHub. So GitHub is where you store codes. Um, so if you want to see how code really look like, during the process of this lesson, actually, I'm going to be using this library that I wrote. And what this library do is a very simple library that just allow you to save. It's like a form of database manager, but it's a simple way of managing your database instead of trying to learn all these complicated database. So I know you don't understand that yet, so don't be scared. So we're gonna be using this. So I store most of my code here for beginners to use for free. And I still use most of them in a real life application because this is exactly what you do, yeah. Uh, so this is one that I was using to learn DSP, and this is mostly mathematical. Wow. So that is what I do. So GitHub is just like a backup system for me. When I write code, I just like, oh, let me save it there. So this is code I wrote for a very long time when there was, I think this is a JavaScript code, and at that time, uh, you don't really have the threading application in JavaScript, so I wrote this. So I remember using it in one of our company to do some particular job. So I share it here. I picked most of this code and used them again to be sincere because these are the same thing to achieve the same thing. You just pick the code and use it again. But now I think JavaScript have proper threading system, so you don't need all this. Key listener. So I wrote this a long time ago, 5 years ago, right? So um, it's a kind of it's a simple code that actually listens to your keyboard on the browser. So and you can use it to control things within your browser. So for example, you can use it to move this and that, and also move object within your screen. So it listens to a particular key that you press on your computer and trigger an event. So I wrote this 5 years ago, and I've used it for a particular company because when I was doing this, I was trying to achieve something. So I don't remember what I've done with it. And this is how code look like. Next thing again we're gonna do.
Can you try Controls Windows D?
What is Windows D?
Oh,
Night. 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 What is Windows D? And I am actually sitting in my baby's room, and it's about 11 o'clock. I hope to stay here more up to up
about
to
did you try it?
yeah.
Controls Windows D.
Windows D. Control
Control Windows.
Windows D. So what do you just do? Tell me, what do you do? Can you get it back? What's
We can still hear you. Don't worry. We can
yeah,
still
but
hear you.
I cannot see my screen. Can you do that?
All right. Press Control Windows left arrow. No. Left arrow about left. Not right. Left arrow.
That's what Control Windows.
Left. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. It'll come back. Keep on doing it.
Tell me, I will not listen to you again.
I'm trying to recover it. Control. Keep on doing it.
No, thank you.
No.
Uh
That's it. That's it.
so yeah. So today from this channel, my solar aim for people is I wrote this in React. This is a web camera, and this is React. I think it's 4 years ago, and this was my first React application to be sincere. So you use React to actually build. This is how Facebook. This is the library that power Facebook. So the Facebook UI that most of us use today is built on React. Um, Recently, I start looking at Flutter. Uh, Flutter is a very nice application which and a very simple language to use to write them. So this is Dash programming, that, and it allows you to write your mobile application at the same time, you know, desktop and web application. So technology is growing big and big, so people get scared a lot. You know, you get scared a lot. Like for example, should I learn all this stuff? No, you don't need to learn all this stuff. That is why I want to really discuss how you can code like a pro. A pro, you know, uh, professionals don't really spare time learning things to do the things. They just do it. You know, you just do it. Okay. And yeah, so I actually use this tool a little bit. I did this because I was learning a concept of the passion in so this is a trade departure which actually just help you depart trade and wait for an event, and you can use it to actually do message queue. So it can be like a message queue for you, and you can even use
About
it
you
to
should
build
probably
a web
you
application.
about you should probably read your YouTube comments.
Yeah. Phillips. You will see hello world soon. Yeah, this is for beginners. I promise you. What we are doing now is that we are trying to wait for uh, other people to come over. So while we're waiting, we just want to keep talking.
About with this live stuff. People will never come over at the same time. People usually come in and could go out. You just have to go with the flow. You can't wait for anybody.
Okay, guys. So what is a programming language? Let's say this is for beginners. Okay. So I think we should just start because at 12 o'clock, I'm going to definitely end and do some work. So let's say, what is a programming language? A programming language. What is a programming language? You're trying to solve a problem, okay? And one of the problem you want to solve, for example, if I want to create a digital wallet, because I want to really start with not hello world and other stuff. We want to really write a real life application, because one thing with programming language is the more you do, the more you know. So, for example, you want to solve a problem, and from the basic definition of a computer, uh, you you add an input into a computer, and you are expecting an output. So, computer is a mathematical function. You can define it that way. So you expect an output. So you don't need to know maths to do computer. So a computer is a big black box. You don't need to know what is happening. You give him an input and you expect an output. Now, how can you use this simple logic to build an application? How can you use this? So most of the application you want to build is real life application, things you already know how they work. For example, you know that if you want to send somebody money, because we're going to build digital wallet today, you want to send somebody money, we know how our real life wallet works. We have money in our wallet, and I'm going to use my friend Tommy to, and Tommy have a wallet here. This is Tommy wallet. And Tommy have just £1. Tommy, you're poor. And I have £3.
Very
so
poor, very poor.
so if I want to give Tommy £1, I would have to take £1 from my wallet and move it to Tommy's wallet. The only way I can do that, I need to know where Tommy wallet is located. So let's assume Tommy wallet is identified by the name Tommy. So that is how you transfer money in the real world, right? One person to the another. Yeah, this is not advanced. I think it's quite simple. If you know how to give someone money from someone wallet to the other person wallet, it's quite very easy to know. But I'm sorry if you think it's advanced. So yeah, so I'm going to say these are two wallets. You take wallet and give that wallet. So this is exactly what we're going to do. I'm just going to try to give money to Mr. A. We can do this easily. Why do we need to write a program to do this? If we have an Excel, or we have an Excel sheet, or we have just even normal play file, you can just have a play file this way and just say Tommy, and keep a record of Tommy and I, and say Tommy have £10 now. Overall, my name overall, transfer. You can keep this record. Overall transfer £10 to Tommy, and you're doing this record and say now Tommy wallet is equals to £20. I believe there are period of time where people were doing this as a way of keeping records. Um, but now, how can we write code to do this little logic? We can write a code to do this logic. So I'm not going to teach you how to learn a code, because learning is very hard, but how to write the code like a professional. So we're going to be using Python mostly in this tutorial. We're going to be using Python mostly in this tutorial, and too much blockchain, yeah. So we're going to be using Python for this tutorial. Python is a programming language, and to be able to download Python before you start talking to the computer. So computer programming is a way of you communicating with the computer. So just imagine if you want to speak Chinese with a Chinese man, you have to learn Chinese. So if you want to talk to the computer, you have to learn a programming language. And Python is one of the famous programming language at the moment. So you can go into Python, go to www.python.org. This is the official Python website. Python is a very simple programming language, okay? So what you should do is that you need to download Python into your computer. So Python will be the middleman between you and the computer, so that when you talk to Python, Python will talk to the computer. That is the reason why we need Python, because that is the interface that we can actually use to communicate with the computer. So because I have Python on my computer, I'm not going to download Python, but I believe if you can come to this site, you can easily download and install an application from the web. So I assume you can install it normally, like the way you will install normal Word application. You click on it, you download it, it's free of charge. It's an open source. So you download it and you install it on your computer. If you install Python on your computer, the next thing you want to do is to check if Python really exists on your computer. So to see if Python exists, you can do this and type the word Python on the command line. How do I open the command line? You come to and just type command prompt. You open the command prompt. Yeah, the Python version should be version 3. Version 3 is the latest. I think that's what I use now. The latest version 3 from 3 upward is okay. So at the moment now I'm using, you can download this latest 3.92 is okay. 3.92 will be okay. So for you to know if you have Python installed, type the word Python and yes, you know you have Python installed. Python is a programming language which understands numbers, because computers are all a bunch of numbers. We don't want to go into low level, but yes. If you type any number in Python and press enter, you will echo back the number. So this is Python, but we don't really want to program here. This is the Python command line. So we're going to exit this. This is a Python function to exit. Now, what we want to really do is to open a Python text editor where you can write code. So before you write code, let's go to a desktop. Always make a new folder. And if you're watching this video, you should be able to know that command line is something that you practice by typing the command every time that you get used to it. So make directory is a command line command that tells you to make a directory. So I'm going to make a directory called tutorial. Python will automatically be set on your path when you install Python. So for example, when you install Python on your computer, it will ask you if you want it to automatically set the path. So you should click OK and it will automatically be set into the path. Python is very, very easy to set up. Even those people who doesn't know how to use computer should be able to set it up easily. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to open the text editor. For you to open the text editor, I'm going to type in again another command, and I'm going to type Python. I put this, I'm telling Python to call his module. There is a module in Python that I'm telling him to call. and that module is Python IDE Live. This is the module. This is the module that is that actually show the Python text editor. So if you click enter, it's going to show this. So this written in Python, this particular interpreter, the Python interpreter himself. So you see, so it's a Python library. Make directory just allow you to create a directory. So if you go to when I click on the make directory, it automatically, let me close this again. It automatically, if I click Explorer will open an Explorer on this page. So this is a window command. I only just create a directory. That is what I did. So we're going to be putting our code here. So if I go back to that directory that I just created, I can easily type again the command and we can start writing code. So what we're going to write now, you're going to learn how to code like a professional. So this is where the fun comes in. This is like a text editor, right? So now we're going to write a simple wallet, just like what we just said. And on that wallet, we want to be able to transfer money from Tommy to Obaru. Yes, I need more money from Tommy to Obaru, right? So I'm not going to teach you how to write learn Python. You're going to learn Python by doing work, okay? You're going to learn Python by working. So for what we're going to do is that I want to really, as I said before, Python allow you is a programming language, so you can create a mathematical function that will, everything you do in Python or any programming language is about trying to create a mathematical function that will do a job for you or a task. So we're not going to go into deep. So for you to create a mathematical function, which is called module or function itself, you use the word keyword diff to do that. So I'm going to create a mathematical function called transfer in Python. And this transfer will be, it would take a name from address, which is a string, a word, and to address. Then the amount that we want to transfer. So you can see I'm introducing a lot of things here. I'm going to explain later. So before I implement the function, so I just create a mathematical function that will transfer from which source to this source and the amount. Now, we want to know where we want to transfer the money from, where the money is going to be going to, and the total amount. So actually, this is exactly what you need. But we also want to know if Tommy or whatever we're going to transfer to have money to transfer. So how are we going to do that? We need more functions. Mathematics, if you want to solve maths, you have to have many functions. Diff is exactly what you use to create functions in mathematical functions in Python. So when you use diff, you say define the function. So it's defining a function for you so you can use it. This is how you learn to code. Yes. So let's see what we're going to do from here. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to use data type. I just put it there to just for expression sake. You can know exactly what is going on. Let's say if how am I going to know who is this? Where is Tommy coming from? Does Tommy have money? Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to have bank. So we save money in the bank, right? Let's just say the bank is a dictionary. You know how dictionary works. Dictionary, just like your normal dictionaries, we have the key and the content. So that's how dictionary works in real life. So bank, or we can just call it balances. So, and here we're going to say Tommy. I will say maybe Tommy have £100 in his account. Now today we're going to create a barrel, which is me. I'll definitely have more money. So I'll put that. Tommy. Okay. So this is a dictionary. So dictionary, you create dictionary. Dictionary is a key pair. So you can define the key, which is Tommy, and you give the value 100. So you can define that and give the value 100. You're going to know what this is later. So now, with this now, we can know how much Tommy have. So if the money is coming from Tommy, we want to actually check how much Tommy have. Why am I writing code this way? Writing code sometimes does not make you to learn all the technology before you get things to work. Yes, we have to check if this address is in this money. If this guy have the address, because this is something we're using, I'm going to introduce another keyword called global. This is trying to tell the function that this object that we're using is out of the scope, because the scope of this transfer function is within this area. Okay. And now, if this is inside that, we want to see how much this guy have. So we can say, I think it's called balance. So we can access the balance if we have if the address is found. So we're just trying to check if the address is found. If you want to code like a professional, you do things very simple, just like the way I'm doing it. Now, if we know how much he have, remember the amount this guy have to be greater than this to be able to withdraw. If balance is greater than or equals to amount, then we can really withdraw. Otherwise, we'll have overdraft. Okay, I introduced that global. That global is kind of telling this function, the transfer function, that hey, this balance object is a global object. It's not defined within the function scope. So you should look for this object outside the object scope. So, which is this. So that is how I'm going to be introducing more keyword into programming. So now if the amount is, what should we do? We have to subtract that from that. And now put it back. I'm just doing this way, but normally you would do it this way. Which means subtract this and put it here back. Now the transfer is complete. We want to actually return true. Otherwise, we want to return false to tell you as in that this did not work. But after we remove the money, first you remove the money, then you send. Then you send the money to him. So now I want to, before I remove the money, I want to make sure that the person we are sending that money to also is in the have an account with us. Okay, so and So we're using AND statement now. So I've introduced the if statement. We actually use it to check if there is the address is there. Now I'm going the colors for colors. Are you talking about these colors? This is to say that this is a defined function. There's if you see this orange colors, it means it's a keyword. It's a keyword within Python. And if this, we're going to check if this address is too. Because if that address is not inside here, that means we cannot send that money. Maybe the user make a mistake. So if it is, when we withdraw the money, we're going to add that money to the to person. So we'll do the same thing. Subtract, and then we add. So when you do beacon, this is exactly what happened. Now, if we add, and let's see if we can use our function. So we know we have, I delete something. So we know we have two people with an account, Obara and Tommy. So if you want to use our function, you run it. Now I'm going to open this way and put it this way. Now let's do some transfer. Let's transfer. Yes. Let's transfer money from Tommy because Tommy quite have a lot of money, right? So we're going to say Tommy and transfer the money to Obaro. I'm very greedy. At least let's take 10 pounds from him. So if we transfer it through, that means we've transferred the money from Tommy. Right? So now let's check the balance. We can check our balance by just doing this and Obaro and see the balance. Okay. Something was wrong. We only transferred 10 pounds, but 90 pounds went to Tommy. So we just introduced a logical bug. So the logical bug is that we're putting the rest balance of Tommy into Obaro's amount instead of us to use this. So we're going to change that and correct that bug. So welcome, you just know what bug is. When you write a code and the code did not behave as what you wanted, it's called a bug. At this moment, the bug is not the language bug. It's my logical bug. So you can call it a logical bug because it's my logic that didn't work. So if we run this code again and do the same transfer, every time you run it, it resets the account. And we copy this code again and do the same transfer. The transfer is happened, so I'm expecting it to be to 10. Right, let's see how much Tommy still have. So now if we check Tommy's balance, we have 100 pounds. Now every time we run the code, Tommy's money reset back. It doesn't work that way. When you spend money, it doesn't have to reset back. So we're going to create additional more function. And this function will make us check our account balance instead of using this. Okay, so let's create a function again. So balance, get balance, or let's say check balance. Okay, get balance. So, and that function will take which address of person you want to check his balance. The way you call this function again, we're going to say balance. If you're going to check a function and the balance, so you're going to teach logically. If I want to check the balance and the address does not exist, what should I do? Should I say the balance was checked, or should I just return 00? So returning 00, the user will think, oh, I'm checking my account is 00. So a lot of people will do that. So this is going to be your decision. So for example, if I want to check a balance, I want to tell the person, if the balance is not found, I can tell the person your address is 00. So you haven't opened an account. So, but if the address is found here, then we want to give the actual balance of the person. These are decision makings, but this is very good because you don't tell the user, you don't tell the people who are trying fake balance, and give them more information to. You don't want to give them more information. So let me put this to be small letter BL BL and equals to this. Get get balance. So now we'll return the balance. Now this is exactly like calling this function. The reason why I create this is because when we move to trying to keep this record, so that when Tommy reset again, he doesn't get his £100 back if he transfer the money. Okay, so the next thing we want to see is somebody, you transfer money to someone from A to B. If you can also deposit money into your account. So we're going to create deposit. Deposit money. So you want to deposit money, you want it to be deposited to address. Which person do you want to deposit this money? And the amount you want to deposit. So if you want to deposit money, we don't care about how the money was got. All we care is that we're going to deposit it. This make it easy. So to who you want to deposit the money, so we have to check if that person is still here with us. If it's there, okay, we can deposit it. Writing code this way is very good because you might think that this is not going to be a production code, but it's going to definitely be a production code, a real life code, and real life tools and how things work. So now when you deposit the money, you either want to tell the user that the deposit was successful or was not. So you're going to have a status to say false. If it did not work, then you can stay here. I write code. This is not efficient, but yes, it does the job. Think less about optimization. Oh, is it going to be quick or fast? No. Let's not go there. Get balance. Yeah, so when you're writing a code, so the get balance, when you're writing a code, sometimes you have to make a decision. If the account does not exist and the person is going to call the get balance, what you just want to tell him, okay, you know what, your balance is 00. But if the account, because 00, it means you have no money. But if you tell him that the account does not exist, you just give the person an idea that the account does not exist, so he will learn how to hack you more. So you don't want to give him any information. So if you go to some site nowadays, you see where you haven't registered and you're trying to reset a password, even though you didn't have an account with them. Okay, so you understand. So sometimes you just, because if you're going to call my code to do something and I don't want you to know what is going on, so you might think it exists, but it does not exist. But before we call this function, actually, we'll do some additional function checking. Okay, so we can get balance, we can deposit, and we can transfer balance. So these are the things you do. You can transfer, deposit money or transfer. Normally, you don't deposit money. In the real world, you don't deposit money. It's all based on transfer. If you take real life money to a bank, what you're doing actually, you're transferring, the bank is transferring money from their own account to your account and taking your physical money. So yeah, we're going to use that get balance and deposit soon. So but so let's see talk about Tommy. So let's use get balance again. So if we want to use get balance of Tommy, how much Tommy have? £100. That is a lot of money. So and Tommy decided to transfer money to Obaro, no, Tommy, and he transferred the money to Obaro, and let's say this time £20, and the transfer would, right, let's see how much Tommy have again. Tommy, let's see how much Tommy have. £100. What happened? What is there? Two Tommy called Tommy. What? Tommy, I don't understand that. Phillips, I don't understand what you're saying. So if I get Tommy balance, something is happening here. We transfer money to Tommy. We transfer money from Tommy. What is there? People call Tommy. Two people call Tommy. Yes, it's still returning. So we're going to find why he's doing that. That's what I'm saying. So if we get Tommy, he returned 100. And we will transfer money to Tommy. He said the transfer was complete. Then we'll go back and get the balance. He says it's 100. So if we go back and get the balance, it's still saying it's 100. So does that mean the transfer did not send the money? Or does he not know that it's a global function? So let's do this. So run it again. Transfer money from Tommy, and we'll get the balance from Tommy. So something is definitely wrong. We introduce another error again into this code. So what do we introduce? The last time we did it, it was all working fine. So what do we introduce? What part of this thing that we didn't touch? So writing code. So we're going to go through the lines of code. So writing code can be simple, it can be hard. In any level, you're going to introduce bug. So from address, look what we're doing here. We say from address, we introduce this bug. We introduced this bug. How did it even work the first time? So we didn't take the money from Tommy. We only add the money, but we didn't take the money from Tommy, because what we did here is that the money, we brought the money, we subtract the money, and we subtracted, but we did not update Tommy's account. So we introduce another block. Now we can actually update Tommy's balance. You can say, oh, Tommy, you sent money, so now let's update your balance. So that is where the problem was. So you get the money out, you do all your mathematical calculation, you add the money into, but you haven't updated. Normally you should do this. You always update the account before you do that. So I think that is exactly where the problem is coming from. So let's do it again to make sure that get the balance of Tommy, and now we're going to transfer the money to Tommy. From transfer from Tommy, we're going to take to borrow, say £20 for Tommy again. It said true. Copy this again and check the balance of Tommy. Yeah, so now we are transferring money successful. Let's check Obaro's money. So at this point, we call this testing. So you're testing your function, and trust me, professional does that a lot because they don't want to make mistake. So check Obaro's balance, 120. So now if we restart the program again, now if Tommy decided to deposit, let's use this function again. If Tommy decided to deposit, maybe Tommy went to work and he earned more money and say, you know what, I'm going to deposit £65 into my account. Yeah, and you go in, so the deposit was successful. Come back again and check for Tommy. Tommy have more money now. The next stage of this, because we're going to be ending this soon, is that every time we start the program with Tommy, what happened is that Tommy reset back, but we don't want to do that. So I want to make it interesting before we go today. So before we do this, I can use a single file, but there is a nice library already written that I'm going to just show you one more thing, how to install Python library. So we're going to install this particular library I've shown you before to do this job. Okay, so from my Git. So this library, what if we transfer debt to Uber, transfer minus 500? Let's see. Yeah, that is a good testing idea actually. So let's see if we can transfer minus 500. Hey, that is a bug. You see? We transfer minus, and now you just get everything bad. Yeah, you should not transfer minus, so we gotta rectify that. Definitely. So we're going to make sure that before we run this function, actually, this value have to be positive. So we can say it have to be greater than or equals to 0. If it is greater than 0, because you don't want to transfer 0 either, then before we even do all this checking. So now run this function again. I will check Obaro's balance is going to restart to 200. Now if Tommy trying to play the trick of transferring debt again, let's see what happens first. So you can't transfer. Transfer will not work. That is a good one. There's a lot of things you can check into the function and actually try to correct and add more functionality. It's true. it's true. We can refactor this and just do the same. What if you transfer debts to deposit value return as zero? You're right. You're right. If I leave this even, we can actually you that is called repetition. As I said before, we normally have nothing like this deposit. So there's nothing like deposit. So in the future, actually, we might not even use this deposit at all. Yeah, because you don't deposit money. Money doesn't come from nowhere. Money have to come from somebody to someone. If you went to bank and deposit money into your account, what you're doing, the bank is transferring money from their account to your account. So, so there's not like deposit. So we just want to put it here for putting sake. Let me even delete this because we don't need anything deposit. This is the main function that you need to write a wallet. Okay, let me quickly, yes, let me quickly uh, do this. So for we to actually, we have, I'm going to open a new command line here. So how to install a library from Git. So Git is a repo where people store code. So you can see where I put my code, and I've write a nice library here. Yes, you can deposit with an ID, but the ID is your address. Yes, address can be anything. That is all you need actually. I think that is the basis of Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. This blockchain technology, where you don't need to know any information about anyone, just the address, which is your ID or your name. So I've written a simple library here called repo library. This will allow you save information. It's very quite simple. Just don't think about how it goes. It's just simple. What it does is store information into a nice format with a file so we can retrieve it. So to install this library, forget about it. And the use is quite simple. So so we're gonna do this now. Let's try to install this library from Git. But before we try to install this library from Git, one thing with Python is that you have to set your own environment so that you don't install the library is into the main Python library set. So to set up an environment where you can code is like an ecosystem where you code for that particular project because you might have multiple projects. So if you want to install a library to this our current project, which is the wallet, we want to create an environment where we can just install for that particular project. So Python, and we're going to call another Python module called virtual environment. So we will call it Viva. So if you do this, it will generate a folder with a copy of Python. So we might use this Python copy for our wallet. So anytime we install any Python library, we're going to be storing for this. So the idea here is that we're going to really write a real life stuff that we will add a web interface to. Okay, by this little code that you can see here, the web interface to. So now we want to actually keep record of this record so that next time Tommy transfer money, his money does not reset to 100 because we had copied this. Now we don't want to do that anymore. Okay, now since we have this library installed, we're going to activate the virtual environment by typing this code. So we just activate it. Now, if we say we want to install, we call Python, we're going to call another Python module called the pip. The pip is an installation package manager where you can install package from other developers and because you know when you're writing a real life application, you don't write all the library yourself. You have to use other people's library. Otherwise, you spend years and years writing a single project. So Python we call install, and since we're going to install from GitHub, we'll put a git plus. It's kind of a weird name for git, and you copy the git URI, and now you click install. So it will store this Python library into this project. So
About is there a reason why you're using Python to use pip?
yeah.
Can't you just use pip install?
Oh yeah, I can use pip install. Thank you, Tom. So I can use pip install just straight ahead today, but because I want people to get used to this. So imagine if pip is not in your part, only Python, you might be having problem. Automatically, actually, if you make Python in your part, pip will be in the same part. But I can use pip install, but I'm using this Python as full so that people can get used to this because we're going to use a lot of things with Python. So we want people to get familiar with this because Python is the main compiler. Pip install is just a library inside. Um, before teaching shortcuts, let's get straight to knowing why we're using it. So now that we have already, I'm going to close this. Yeah. So
About 1 second. Yeah, you had git plus URL. I thought you were installing git.
oh no, I'm not installing Git. I'm installing a package from Git.
Right. Okay, I got you.
This is a package from Git. So I wrote
Mm.
this code and I want to reuse it. So now I'm going to call Python again. I'm going to open the text editor again. Now I am now I open the text editor with this visual environment. So I'm using the visual environment Python. That's why I reopen it again. So I'll open my wallet.
About also, it's cloning the git repo into a temporary folder. Are you able to give it like an argument that you tell it
So what
which
happened is
location?
that install the package here. So the package is here, just like the way you install another package. So it's going to install it into that is a script.
No, it's in a
Test
temp folder. About
yeah, no, it's here. Unless if you didn't install it here, then I have to.
no, the Jim Obama module was not installed
Okay,
there.
yeah, it's installed here. So
It's in a temp folder.
is install the package here. So you see the software here. It does not clone the repo. It only install it. So don't worry about this one. Just know yeah, what happened is that he installed it here. So all the codes are here. You just copy the code from Git and put it here because there is a folder here. Let me say there is there is a command here that I tell him how to install it. So you just tell him to do the installation. So he caught this code and he does the job for you. Okay. So now let's see how to use that. So for you to use that, if you go back to the command line, you will know that this is the name. This name, I try to use the same name as my package name so that we don't have problem on it. So if I come back and say import underscore and I run this, I should have no error. So if I have an error, that means this installation is not did not succeed. Run that. So it runs. But what we need is here. I'm going to import a module from here, a class called repo. So it's a simple class to create it's a simple class that will create a file for us and store the file in a JSON format. So that we don't need to install database and other stuff. I don't really need database until I really want it. So that's why I create this library. So now, instead of saving this information here, we're going to create a repo, and we're going to tell him that he should save the account, the data, into account dot whatever name, text, let's call it that. So it can be text. This is just any extension. Let me use the right extension for the right data. So instead of using this now, instead of using these balances, I'm going to reuse account. Then I will say add Tommy. No, create Tommy. So in case Tommy does not exist, create Tommy with that amount. And yes. That will be create Tommy. And now I'm just going to replace this there, and I will say create again. So there's a function that will allow you to just create another username. So what we did now, instead of every time we open this, we want to be able to retrieve this data back. So here we're going to make some few changes here. Okay, so one of the changes we're going to make here is that when we come here to get the balance, we're going to say repo.get. So this will get the balance. But now we're going to say repo is the global. So we're going to say, so if repo is the global, trust me, this or this function, we don't need all this function anymore, because if that user does not exist, we can tell him to return 0. So we can actually just do this. We make this more simplified, so it simplify our code, which make it better. Now we're going to do the same thing here. If the user is not here, so if the account is down, so we're going to change it first. So that is a simple balance, no, repo. And now the next thing we're going to do is just to try to say, instead of checking that, we know that if repo don't get the address, get the address of this, we can say none, just to make sure the balance of this from. Yeah, and we can say from balance, and to balance. So I'm going to use this say get. To balance. So we expect that these two should not be known. If they are known, that means one of the account does not exist. So if n balance is not known, and to balance is not known, then we are 100% happy. We're 100% happy that these two accounts exist. So we need to say if the from account is higher than the amount we want to send, the from account need to be decreased and from account need to be updated. So you can just say repo dot add dot from address. The add will just update it if we'll just update it. Then to account, since he already has this, we're just going to add it to. So we just say add to account plus the amount. So now we just did the same thing, so we can test this code again and run it. Here do we write repo? We didn't spell one of the name correct. So here we make a mistake here. So run it. So if we run it, it's going to bring this down, and I think this is going to be the last thing I'm going to do now, then we can leave. So if we say get balance, tell me 100 pounds. Then we'll say transfer balance from Tommy to Ubaro. I will specify the amount, maybe 10 pounds. Something good. Say the name is not defined. Name is not defined. Where do we have name? Okay, the transfer. We didn't write it nicely. Transfer, yes. So if we go back to get Tommy balance again, Tommy balance is 90. So get to Barrow's balance. Barrel balance is 110. Now if we stop this again and run it, you will see that it's going to give us the same balance with Tommy. So everything will restart again. Why? Because we didn't commit. So every time we do all this transaction, the first thing we should do is say repo.commit. So we commit the changes to the database. So run it again. Now if we get Tommy, I will transfer from Tommy to Barrow. We say 10 pounds. Get Tommy balance against 19. Get Barrow's balance. If you close again and you run again, Tommy balance will be the same now. So Tommy balance is still 90. So now we've already learned how to save to file and perceive transformation. So let's see what we're saving. So if you go back, this is going to be your database account. So this is your database, and this is the database lab. let's try, let me open it with a nice editor. No, I have Notepad++. Did I not? Okay, I'll open it on Notepad++. Copy this UI and go to Notepad++. Paste it, and I will do this. All right, so let's do some formatting. I thought I have Notepad++ formatter. I don't. So I'm just going to install JC formatter here. No, I can open it with Visual. Notepad, no, Notepad++, Notepad++, JC formatter. So we can actually install a JC formatter on Notepad++. I think that's one I use. I don't know. Or should I go into Notepad++ to do it himself? Plugins. JC viewer, I think. Install it. Yes. Okay. So let's see. So if I go back to Notepad++, JC viewer format, yes. So this is how we create our account. And this is how we start writing code. The next thing we're going to do now, before I go, I still have 4 minutes, is the ability for we to be able to access our account from the UI. So we want to come to a web application and type some local UI and save our money. So for we to do that, we need to install another library called Flags. So we're going to open this again, and this time open the environment, activate the environment. Now we're going to install, we can use the pip this time, or we can use Python. The mode loader, we're going to go to pip install. We're going to install Flags. So what Flags does for us is going to install a library developed, very famous library, very noticeable library that will allow us now to expose it. So we're going to call Flags from here. If we run this, we should have no error. So for we to open a Flask application, we have to do this. So I've introduced another stuff here again, and this is just saying that if we run this file, run the code beneath this. So, but if it doesn't run this file, don't run the code. So we're going to be running this file. So we create a Flask application. So this object that we import, remember we import this object and we're able to use it. Now we're going to import this one. And normally we should create our Flask application here because we're going to use it. And this time we just do this. And we can say run app.run, right? I think I'm right. I've used Fastware. Good. So app.run, this is what it does. So now if we come here and copy this when we run this, it runs. So when we come here and put it in a run, something happened. Because there's nothing, something happened, and this is live. So we can go back again and say to him the app.root. So now we're going to say in the root, since we're using it as an API, I'm going to explain what an API means, but this is just a quick way to just get 1 minute off. We're going to say API Tommy. So every time we say API Tommy, we will call this function API Tommy. We will call this function get balance service. So let's do this. Get balance service will return. So let's do that. Let's see. Run this again. The same UI, copy it, go back and do this. Nothing. Then do /API Tommy. And we have 00. So now we write an API that runs a web application by just installing a library. So this is how you do write your website. So now we want to really return a real API. So we're going to say global. So every time we type Tommy, we will get Tommy account balance. We will get Tommy account balance. So now, and return the account balance. But if there's no account balance, we want to return 0, so the user doesn't know what we're doing. So we're going to run this again. Okay, I think it didn't run. We'll close this. I will run it again. Good, it's running now. And next time, we're going to end here. So when we did this, what happened? Okay. Maybe it does not understand the format we did. Okay, hold on. So if we do this 0.0 and run this again. All right. So what happened? It does not understand what we have. So what we're going to do here now, I'm going to get 0.0 Tommy. Now we want to JSON format so that it can understand what we're doing, what we're giving. So we need to import another library from Cursor, from a Python. Python have this. And whatever value you give to us, we want to dump it as a string. So we pull this library. So you can see as I'm developing, I'm introducing libraries. That's how you develop Python real life applications. So if we run this time and go back to the UI and type Tommy and do this, the balance of Tommy. Now we don't want to hand code it to just Tommy. We want to change it to a barrel and get the same answer. So barrel and get the same answer like this. We don't want to hard code it. So we can come here, have a variable. So I even forget how this works. So I'm going to Google. See? This is how we code. Google is one of our friends. So add parameter to flags UI root parameter. So flags is the library that we're using. So if you don't know much about it, you go and add. So you can see the way they use the parameter. And the parameter will automatically be given to the function. So I do this. I thought it's that because so I want it to be a name. So you give the name. So now anytime we give a name, it's going to always be a string. We just put the name here. So now if we run it, so now we just did two things, okay? What we did now is that we are able to access our Python code here. So if we say Obaro, then we can come back and say Tommy. So we are having a very nice UI here. We're having a nice UI. Next time, I'm going to teach you how we can create an account instead of hard coding account, then how we can validate account if the account username and everything. So today we're going to end here. Hope you guys learn. And this is my first channel that I stream live. I think I will listen to it again to see what is going on. Thank you. Bye.